2, 1, go. Right then, hello! Today I was thinking about trying a different format for some video stuff, so let's just see how it goes. Not terribly... well, I'm not really used to doing this, so expect this video to be the one that I maybe go back to if this continues. Also, that little tweet in the background, that is the top drawing assistant that a man could ask for. The little baby boy. Isn't that right? Nah, now you're quiet. Oh, they're gone. Well, anyway, yeah, no, basically what I was trying to think was maybe you guys would be interested in some voiceover work while I do my drawings. I don't know, perhaps it would be more entertaining, and, I mean, if you don't like the sound of this somewhat blocked nose, you can always just mute the audio, because I'll still be drawing. Anyway, so what I'm planning on doing today is a 30-minute drawing thing, where I try and draw a full thing in half an hour. The theme of the day will be something that everybody I think loves, a little bit of Pokemon to get into the mood. Oh, more specifically, Pokemon fusion generators while I draw, though I won't necessarily be talking about that. Slap that random button a couple times. Let's do it again, because I don't want to do that, because it doesn't look very interesting. Muck dash. Sure. Right then. I'll post this in here to use as a reference. Right. Okay. Let's get some Muck references and some Rapidash references. Right, just need to get some Rapidash as well. I only use the highest of resolution reference images, because I, too, am a very... I can draw well, I promise. Right. And the time to start drawing is now. Right. So what am I going to be talking about while I try drawing? I was thinking maybe doing this as sort of a topic of the week type thing. So, like, maybe this week I'd just start off with some basics, I think. What is it? I guess I just want to talk about, like, a lot of misconceptions that I had with uni stuff. Because, like, I don't know if many of you guys will have gone to there at any point or are planning on going there, but, like, not as easy as you would think. And I know that that's a very stupid thing to say, but, like, you'd think that it would become less intense once you start doing a full-time sort of thing over there, but no, it's very much just, I don't know. It's more so the issue that the way you work is very differently in university to how you do in, say, like college or secondary school. For reference, I am talking on the UK system, because I know in America you guys like to mix up your college and your high schools. Well, they're different over here. The way it works over here is you got college for 2 years after secondary school, which ends at 16, and then you go to uni, which is your equivalent of college. And really the biggest thing, I guess, that I've noticed since going to university is just the general attitude is it's very different from, like, teachers Like they aren't not to bash them, but they are a lot less invested in individual success, but rather they'd focus on their general class. Because whereas in secondary school or college you might have a maximum of say 30 people in a classroom, uni is a lot closer to 80. So understandably that can cause a lot of trouble. And not to mention, you've also got the fact that a lot of lecturers actually aren't just lecturers. That was something that I found really interesting. A lot of people who work in universities tend to work as, like, at least in STEM fields, they tend to be doing lectures as, like, a side job to, like, research, like, being researchers themselves, etc. So that was something else that's quite interesting. It's not like they take lecturing as a full-time job necessarily. A lot of them tend to have multiple jobs, which is very, very strange to me. Also, something else about uni that I feel is necessary to point out. You probably, if you go to it, you're gonna end up despising the subject that you chose to do a lot more. Let me tell you. Or maybe I don't know. Yeah, at least that's been the case for me. It's like in case anyone doesn't know, I do the chemistries by trade, but goodness, it definitely does start to wear on you. It's just coursework and just the general, like, I guess just the negativity of some people. Though I guess that's more of a personal thing, but whatever. It's primarily coursework and overcoming your own sort of your own general lack of initiative, I guess, because you get a lot less guidance from teachers in university, which you'd think sounds important and good, but when I say that, I mean sometimes it really does feel like you don't have anywhere to go. And I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes when a lecturer is either doing it because of it just being the way they're supposed to teach, or if they're doing it out of laziness. Like, no offense, but like it does sometimes feel like that. Even if it isn't necessarily that, it does sometimes feel, well, not even laziness, I guess. I guess that's an unfair word to say. It feels like they don't prioritize their teaching work above their research work sometimes, which is completely understandable. I probably wouldn't care. Well, I probably wouldn't care as much about the teaching aspect as I would about the research aspect because, one of them you've invested your whole life into, and the other is sort of like just sort of a side gig thing. I mean, whatever, they do a lot of it's once again down to the individual, but there are definitely some lecturers who you can tell don't really enjoy teaching that much, and that's not exactly the best because when you're trying to have a class of people who are reaching the final stretch of their education, some of which might even be a bit, worn out by then. It doesn't help with inspiring people who are becoming more jaded if you yourself are being very, let's say, uninspiring for the sake of simplicity. Also, in case you're wondering, what I'm doing here with this Muck and Rapidash fusion is I'm just roughly trying to combine aspects of both of the characters. So I'm not like trying to just copy Muck's face onto Rapidash's face. I'm trying to get like a combination of that sort of gritty, grimy look on the eyes that you have with Muck and the sort of more serious face that Rapidash has. I'm also keeping the shapes relatively soft by comparison, just because it maintains that sort of sense of softness that you'd have with Muck. So I'm not exactly copying it straight out from from the fusion generator, because I personally, at least, I find that it's just not that fun to just copy it, and also the designs generally aren't like too amazing, because in case people don't know, the way it works is it gets the body of one of the Pokemon, takes the face of the other one, and then gives it the palette of the one whose face was transposed onto the other. Which, it works. It's pretty good for a program, not gonna lie, but, you know, I feel like an individual person can definitely do a lot better, or at least try to. Though, admittedly, I'm not doing that right now. Oof. Big fighting words, and then I don't deliver on any of it. Watch me go. Ah. Sorry about that. Headset briefly cut out. I can't remember what I was saying now. It definitely does feel a bit strange to just be talking to myself like this, though I've heard the same from many a people who record YouTube videos, so... whatever. Swings and roundabouts, I guess, eh? What's something else that's interesting? Oh, also, I will be taking any kind of like video idea requests if anyone has any, though I'll be totally honest, I highly doubt that's going to happen with the kind of channel sort of size that I have, which is fine. I don't mind. This is really just sort of a nice it's really a nice escape from all that uni stuff that I was just describing earlier. Because, I don't know about you guys, but personally I think that it is healthy to have a sort of escape from a lot of, like, difficult things, I feel. You've got to learn to, like... I'd say that having just one life isn't really that great. And when I say that, I mean, it's... there's no fun if you don't have any, like, hobbies or something to, like, make that free time of yours really worth enjoying. Because, let's be honest, right? You've only got a limited amount of time to live, right? You're doing a job that you know, you like it, let's say you enjoy it, but, you know, you're not, like, enriching yourself, you're not trying to, like, do anything different from what you normally would. Like, you're generally just sort of doing the same thing. You go to work, come home, maybe watch some YouTube videos, and then you go to sleep. And that's fine, but, like, for me personally, I find it a lot more enjoyable to be, like, come home, draw, finish something else, feel proud of it, and then that's my day done. I shouldn't be doing all this cross-hatching yet. Yeah, in case... Okay, right. Gonna be honest, not terribly happy with how this torso's coming out, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It vaguely resembles a horse, so it's alright. I think what I'm gonna do is add a little bit more sort of definition to the muscles. So looking over our Rapidash reference, probably gonna want to do a bit of this, but I also want to try and keep it a little bit of that goopy aesthetic, so I'm probably gonna have it like have a little slime pattern similar to Muck along the edges of it. Because at the moment it kind of does just look like a very grumpy Rapidash, I'll be honest. But, it's a little bit tricky, I'll be honest, doing character fusions. I'm not going to pretend to be any kind of, like, genius on the subject. No, that's way too... way too, Oh. Also, something I highly recommend when you're drawing, invert your canvas as regularly as possible when you're drawing, because good grief, you will notice so many mistakes that you make. It's like here, I'm noticing that this leg was a bit weirdly positioned. Well, I think for now. That opinion could very well change when I look back on the footage and I'm like, no, you absolute goddamn Cro-Magnon! How could you? How could you ruin this pony, I guess? He's Very confused pony. I am wasting time. But isn't that what we're all doing at the end of the day? Just wasting our time away? Oh god, I'm not gonna... I am nowhere near that level of confident in myself to be getting all philosophical. I'm just a scrub with a headset, a basic recording software, and a totally legal copy of Adobe Premiere. Yes, that's true. Yep, totally legit. What else is something interesting to note? Should probably move on to the line art actually. Right. Oh, actually, I guess that's something interesting to bring up. So why chemistry? I'll be honest. I used to do I chose sciences mostly because I wanted to be able to have the liberty to create what I wanted. Thank you, Dexter's Lab, for massively misinforming child me on what creative freedom was. But no, nowadays I do it more so because I do it with the goal in mind of helping people, and I like that idea a lot. It honestly, it's cathartic because it's like the idea that maybe I'll be able to do things for people it's nice, you know? It's a nice feeling, and sure, yes, I am doing this purely for my own sort of gain, but it's like, I don't care. So what if I want to be nice to people because it makes me feel happy? It's like, a lot of people these days seem to freak out a lot about like, ooh, you're only doing this because it'll make you feel better. It's like, yeah, so what? What's the problem with feeling good about yourself? I don't see the issue. Alright. Now this is where it's going to get a bit tricky. Also, you might notice that with line art, I tend to use a very sort of... I tend to do brush strokes that give me more or less the same sized or same width lines, and that's because I used to have this very big problem of drawing with excessively thick lines, and I still think I do use very thick lines from time to time. I think even in this sketch you can see that the line work is very, very thick, so that is something I've personally been trying to improve on. I like to think I've been getting better at it, but you never know. Maybe one day you're like, oh no, look at me, I can't draw anymore, woo. Ah. But, what's some other life advice I can give? I guess this is something interesting. People seem to think that you have to be intrinsically talented at something to even attempt doing it. And to me, that's just silly. It's like, yes, because everybody who ever was good at anything ever was just immediately great at it. Yep, that makes perfect sense. Like, I mean, even right now, I'm like learning new things with this drawing, and I like to think I'm reasonably confident in art. For someone who doesn't do it professionally and never has done, like, I don't know. Maybe I am being a little bit arrogant, maybe I'm not, who knows, but, I definitely do enjoy doing this. This whole, like, being able to, like, draw in my free time as I want. It is very nice. Just realised I maybe broke this poor Rapidash's legs. Or Muckidash. Yes, that is its name. Muckidash. No, that sounds very inappropriate. Muckadash. I wouldn't want to have someone muckadash my house. I'll tell you that for true. Let me tell you something. If someone offers to muckadash your house, don't take it. It's not going to be worth it. Let me warn you right now. It's just you have plenty of bad time awaiting you, because my golly, if they muckadash your house, you're going to be needing a whole lot of stuff. Am I just talking gibberish at this point? Yes, I am, but that's what I see other people doing, so I'll just hope that works out for me. There really is a lot of how, I guess that's really just a good metaphor for, like, just anything in life. It's like, well, it seems to work for other people, so I'll just hope that the same works for me. And you know what the funny thing is? Is that most of the time, it does, I like to think. I'm not gonna... I think maybe it's a good idea that I don't try and misinform you on that, but I personally believe that. That's a good way of me getting out of any responsibility so that no one can come up to me in the future and go, "You ruined my life! You told me to follow my dreams, it didn't work." It's like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know what your dreams were. Maybe I would have advised you a different avenue in life. There are other ways to be satisfied with yourself, aside from just doing this singular thing that you are obsessed with. It's like, I get that you want to become the world's greatest crochetist, but, you know, maybe, you know, maybe it just didn't work out, you know? I'm sorry, you know, sometimes dreams are just like that. It's kind of unfortunate, but what can I say? The world ain't all perfect. But, at the same time, doesn't hurt to try, I don't think. And at the very least, at the end of the day, even if you do fail in whatever you're trying to go after, you could look back on it and say, well, I gave it a good, solid attempt. I can't really complain about it. It's a lot worse to be like those people who regret never having tried, I think. Because I think life is a lot about, or just generally growing as a person, a lot of it is about trying things and failing. Like this video I'm doing right now. Maybe I'm trying and I'm trying to do something interesting with it, but who knows? Maybe this will fail, maybe it won't. We'll just have to find out at the end of the video. Speaking of which, I've only got about 9 minutes left, and this thing is nowhere near finished. Oof. Oof. Oh, it hurts. I'm just trying to think how I could possibly make this work out. Oof, that leg is just not looking happy, I'm gonna be honest. This is the leg of a horse that has been maybe a little bit abused back in its upbringing. Maybe just a little bit of unnecessary physical abuse from its handler. It's like, you know, maybe I shouldn't have covered it in sewage. Maybe that would have been a good idea, but here we are now, and I've got my sewage horse. God damn it, sewer horse. Why are you nearly majestic? Emphasis on the nearly bit. Also, this is another thing. While self-deprecating humor, it's all fun and all, but we should really try and not over-rely on it too much. I think a little bit of like self-criticism and self-reflection is always valuable, but if you're just going to be like emptily insulting yourself, you're not learning anything from it. You're basically trying to protect yourself from any insults anyone could ever throw at you, is what it seems like. Or at the very least, you're trying to not feel like you're arrogant. Because I think that's really the worst, is the realization of being someone who is overconfident. Like, there's a big difference, I feel, between being arrogant and acknowledging something you've done. You don't necessarily have to be arrogant just because you, say, take a bit of pride in something you made. It's like I have a lot of friends who draw, for example, and when they're done drawing, they'll look at something and they'll go, "Wow, this is awful. I'm unhappy with it." And it's like, well, I think it looks really nice, and even like relative to your other work, this is really good. It's like, yeah, but I need to be better than this. And while self-improvement is something everyone should always strive for, I think, you shouldn't let it get to the point where it's just taking any kind of enjoyment or fulfillment from your work. You should still feel free, comfortable to have a bit of pride in yourself from every now and again. You know, let that little brain of yours give you all that dopamine, because you know what, you worked hard. You worked hard at something and you accomplished something by the end of it. Sure, it might not be perfect, and hey, if you can see flaws in it, then you're going to do better next time, because you won't repeat those mistakes. But don't say that something is awful and then fail to acknowledge anything that's bad about it, because then it just seems like it seems like you're just trying to, I don't know, I won't even say shield from criticism, because those people tend to listen to criticism. I think the closest way to describe it would be you're trying to shield yourself and act like you don't care about any kind of negativity towards your stuff. And it's kind of hard to believe that someone wouldn't feel a little bit upset about their work if they spent upwards of 3 hours on it and someone told them it was awful. No matter how much you say that your drawing was awful and rubbish, it's gonna hurt. You can't pretend otherwise. Like hell, even I get upset sometimes if someone gives me a thorough roasting on my work. Doesn't invalidate their criticism by any means, but it hurts, you know. Always hurts to get a little bit of constructive criticism sometimes. Obviously, depending on how scathing it is. I'm a firm advocate of the idea that you should have a little bit of positivity with any criticism you get, because if you don't get that positivity, then you have no idea what you're doing right, and it even starts to get to the point where you feel like you're not doing anything right, because you're never hearing anything good about your work, you're only hearing bad things. And it's kind of hard to spot the beauty in your work if you don't get anything nice said about it. And this just applies in general, like, just to anything. If you're, like, working a job or anything, it's like, you can infer from negative criticism what you've done right, but I think, honestly, positive reinforcement is essential to making sure that someone stays committed and invested in doing something. Because otherwise, you run the serious risk of them just giving up. Wow, that got a little bit real for a second there. And speaking of, I only have 4 minutes left to finish this puppy. Oh dearie, dearie, dear. Maybe I won't be able to get the shading done. Wouldn't that be unfortunate? Nah, I'll get some shading in, alright. 3 minutes? I can maybe do that. Well, let's hope for the best. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And either way, I'm okay with it. I feel like I've gotten a decent amount done for half an hour's worth. And allowing for some accommodations given how much I had to fiddle around with headsets and such. You won't have noticed, but I did cut out a section where my headset cut out, so yay, fun times. Right. Oof, gonna have to edit out that whistling, because boy don't I know how annoying that is when you pick that up on a microphone. Hope you'll enjoy it. I'll make a supercut of all of them at the end. Ooh, now you're scared to go all the way to the end of the video. That way you won't be able to see how I didn't manage to do this in time, and I'll be able to get away with it scot-free. My dastardly plan. 2 minutes 45 seconds. Good grief. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did say this is all recorded while I was drawing, because I'm a chatty boy. I sure love to run my mouth. You can ask anyone who knows me that, and they will agree. Right then. Oof, 2 minutes left. Come on, we can do this. We can do this. Just gotta believe in myself. No, I will save you all the horror of having to endure my singing. Because, good lord, I don't think anyone deserves that kind of unpleasantry. It's like I am completely tone deaf, in case you can't tell from how I talk. I'm just hoping that I don't sound too low energy, because I'm honestly pretty excited about this. Admittedly not slept a lot lately, but then again, who is it in uni that doesn't sleep, who does sleep well? It's the same person who doesn't do their coursework at the last minute. Ha 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 ha. Oof. Relatable memes. People love those. I hear that if I make more of those, people will like me. Alright. But yeah, if anyone does even watch these, tell me if you prefer this over speed paints. I was thinking of doing a sort of this different approach this time around when drawing. Because I feel like a speed paint, people don't tend to listen to the music anyway, so what's the point of really bothering with it? Not to mention, getting the permission of the musicians for every single musical soundtrack you use can be a little bit time consuming, and it's just not a good time. Like, I mean, sorry, I didn't. Let me correct that before anyone takes me out of context. It's not that it isn't fun. They are very nice people. A lot of musicians. They're very talented and interesting people to talk to. But at the same time, it's a little bit tricky to get like a hold of them. Right. Well, time's up. Let's see what we got at the end. We got this bad boy over here. To be honest, it just looks like a very irritated Rapidash that has been caked in all kinds of nasty gunk. But you know what? Whatever. It's fine, I think. And hopefully you enjoyed this different video format as well. If you enjoyed this video, do the typical stuff. You know, subscribe to that like button and hit that like button to subscribe, all of that good stuff. Toby says hello yet again. Never mind. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!